All right. So our second construction of the day is going to be a rectangle. So if we remember the rules of a rectangle, our first one is opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So same thing as a parallelogram. However, our diagonals, I can't spell, let me try that again, are congruent. So when I'm constructing this guy, we're going to create our base. I'm going to put 2 points on here. Now, remember, these lines are also perpendicular, right? The lines are perpendicular. So that would be another thing I'd be adding in here, is the angles are perpendicular. So that means that I'm going to create perpendicular lines to A and B. So as you could guess, I'm going to put my thing at 2 because I like 2. And I'm going to create 2 tick marks on both of these guys because I'm creating 2 perpendicular lines here. Oops, I moved my compass. Try that again. Okay. Alright. So then I have to put my bullseye on the intersection of the red and the purple and move my thing to slightly between the midpoint and the outside point. And then I'm going to create an arc. Move my compass to the other intersection of the red and the purple line. Create another arc. Now where these guys intersect is my perpendicular line. We're going to do the same thing for B because I use the same compass markings. I'm not going to change my compass. And then create my perpendicular line here. I need to make these a little bit high because, alright. So now I have 2 perpendicular lines here. Now I'm going to create a point C over here. It could be wherever. Just as long as A and B are not the same, or AB and BC are not the same length. And then I'm going to use my compass as a ruler again. I'm going to put an arc through the line there, and then I'm going to measure the same distance on the other leg over here. An arc. That guy's going to be D. And then I'm going to connect my 2 intersections. And there is my rectangle A, B, C, and D. Now remember, we talked about the fact that opposite sides are congruent. So opposite sides are congruent. And opposite sides are parallel. So opposite sides are parallel. And that my angles are 90 degrees in here. So if I'm trying to prove that this is a rectangle, I've got to prove that the side lengths of AD is equal to BC and DC is equal to AB. So that's the first thing I have to prove. Then I have to prove that the slope, so the slope of AB is perpendicular to the slope of DC. And the slope of CB is perpendicular to the slope of AB. I do that right. That's number 2. And then number 3, if this is perpendicular and the opposite sides are congruent, I could also use the diagonal if I wanted to. Because technically, I could have these same side lengths and it be a parallelogram. So the third thing I have to check is that DB is equal to AC. If I can prove those 3 things, meaning these 2 are congruent, because remember my diagonals themselves are congruent. If my angles are perpendicular to each other, or my slopes, and my opposite sides are congruent, then I have a rectangle.